groovy.
Yoo-hoo! And thanks for tuning in to another cult horror movie review. From Todd Browning, who brought us the original Dracula, 93 years ago came one of the most unique movies ever to hit theaters. This was Freaks, an early example of the body horror subgenre. While it's not as memorable and as recognized as its vampire predecessor, it's more unique and stands out from the bunch. Barely exceeding an hour long, I can assure you that you won't see many films like this one, and we shall see why. But just before we get going, if there's a cult horror movie you'd like me to review, leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let me know your thoughts and feelings on Freaks. This was released back in the day where, if you were born with a genetic malformation, people were kind enough to shove you into a circus, laugh and throw popcorn at you. Man, those were the days. What's amazing about this picture is that it doesn't try to tell a scary story. Some consider Freaks to be much more of a drama about love, passion, friendship, and betrayal, touching on sensitive issues like fitting into society, eugenics, and life during the Great Depression. The plot is not packed full of thrills and doesn't try too hard to spook the audience, and yet once the runtime is over, it leaves a perturbing mark because the horror and the grotesque in this movie comes from the cast itself, with the entirety of the quote-unquote freaks being real circus performers with malformations and disabilities. There are almost no special effects here, this is all real, and I think this is why Freaks is best remembered, because it feels all genuine, and that's what makes it terrifying in a sense. A guy who was basically a walking torso, a pair of Siamese twins, a man with no arms and legs waddling around rolling cigarettes with his lips.
We've got bigger time to follow, and we can do it too. Well, catch a rack tomorrow night.
A bearded lady. It's frightening. And yet, it showcases the other actors without any malformations genuinely interacting with them, like if it's normal. The script is on the thin side, and the character development is not all there, and for a movie which was produced by a major studio, sometimes I had a hard time understanding the dialogue. It sounded a little bit muffled. You can definitely tell that Freaks was released during the pre-code era, just after movies with sound became popular, because a lot of the actors play with a lot of emotion and too much expression, like if they were still on the stage. The last time I saw something like that was on White Zombie, it released the exact same year. But that's not what this picture is about. It's about the extraordinarily bizarre bodies of the actors, which make this one heck of an experience. Sometimes it feels like you're watching a filmed circus act. Even almost a century later, it still manages to provoke and doesn't leave viewers indifferent. So imagine how audiences must have felt back then, leaving the cinemas. In its first screenings, people were appalled about what they had just witnessed on the screens, so much that the original 90-minute feature was heavily trimmed down to 64 minutes to cut out some of the content they found so horrifying. I'd really like to know what they saw on that screen, which made them gasp so much. The story goes that the original footage is now presumed lost, which is really a shame, and it just reinforces my want to check it out. So there you go, a picture so daring for back then that it ran Todd Browning's career into the ground. Freaks is a film that I would recommend you watch if you are interested. It's not for everyone's liking, but it's something which has to be seen in order to be believed. And believe that.